Katie, City Council Member.
Ronnie Price, Mayor.
City Council Member.
Phil Hamilton, City Council Member.
Tim Berry, City Council Member.
Buck Buchanan, Police Chief.
Rick Lyons, Director of Public Works and Utilities. Chad Russell, Fire Chief.
David Westfall, Planning Zoning Administrator.
Matt Kane, Finance Director.
JT Klaus, City Attorney.
Dana Engstrom, City Clerk.
Les Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Jolene Graham, Assistant City Administrator. Jennifer McCausland, City Administrator.
All right. At this time, Eric Goodman from Riverlawn Christian Church is going to lead us in invocation. How you doing, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Just barely made it, but I'm glad I did.
Me too.
Let's pray. Dear Lord and gracious Heavenly Father, we just come to you again tonight, Lord, just thanking you for the blessings that you give us in life. And Lord, I know there are many folks that are going through hard times, and we ask you to lay your hand upon them and bless them, Lord. And I'm thankful for this evening, Lord, and for the city council members that are here, Lord, to serve you and serve our community. And Lord, I pray that you would give them wisdom in this meeting, Lord. Give them the right thoughts and the right words to say, Lord, and to communicate it in effective ways. And Lord, we just lift them up before you today. And Lord, I know there's many people here that are representative, and if I could remember all their names, I would pray for them. But Lord, you know who they are, and we lift them up before you today. I just thank you again for Andover, Lord, and great leadership here, and just ask you to continue to bless them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
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 And if you would stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. At this time, I'll open the floor for a public forum. If you have something you'd like to say to the council, feel free to do so. State your name and address and keep it short. No takers. All right, public forum is closed. Acceptance of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second, O'Kadis.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Presentation, Andover Food Bank. Misty Boatwright is going to come talk to us. Did I say that right?
You did, yes. Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I am Misty Boatwright. I am the president of the Andover Community Food Bank Board. I am also the Summer Lunch Program chairperson. And tonight I'm here to say thank you, first of all, for the grant that you all provided to us for the Summer Lunch Program this last year. And to give you a little bit of background as to how we spent your money. Each year we serve the community during the lunch, during the summer while school is out. Our goal is to serve those families in our community that need a little bit of extra during the summer break while school is out. This year we did something a little different that we haven't done before. I worked with Terry Rombeck from the Andover School District, and we really focused on those families that participate in the free or low cost lunch program. Throughout K through 12, really focused on those families, made sure they got our flyer with the information, the dates, where the distribution was, the date of the distribution. We also made sure all of the counselors had extra flyers for maybe those families that may not participate in the program, but maybe they were aware of circumstances that they might benefit from our program. So it was great to be able to really focus our efforts on those families. I provided some information to you. I'm not going to go through every single piece of it, but I did want you to have the information. We distributed 1,553 bags Each bag contains 5 individual lunch kits. They are bagged up, and each child gets a quart of milk. We served 93 families. That's individual, unique families. On the first time that they come on the first day, each family fills out a form. They put their name, number, and an email address. We ask that they give the first name of their child, their age, and what school they're going to be attending that fall. We also list the dates of each distribution. Each week that we come, that is our way of documenting who comes, and it's our tally. We are also required to report this to the Kansas Food Bank of our numbers that we distribute. I've tried very hard to ask that we could become a distribution center. To become a distribution center, we have to have 50% of our student population participate in the free or low cost program. Andover has 12%. I think people are surprised that we even have 12%, but we do. And it's nice to know that we are there to be able to help that percentage. This year, we were blessed to be able to get a grant from Cargill. The Kansas Food Bank let us know that Cargill had some funding and let us know. We applied, and we were able to be granted a little over $3,000. We got $3,574. My goal this year was to raise extra funds because in the past, the Andover Community Food Bank has been the financial resource to fund paying for the summer lunch program. My goal has been to lessen that burden on the food bank. So this year, I was able to raise almost $10,000 toward covering those lunches. My goal this next year is to increase that and to try to continue to decrease that burden on the food bank. Each year, we try to make sure that the word gets out and to make sure we are helping those families in our community. We still get additional donations from the Knights of Columbus, Andover Caring and Sharing. We also do have some other community organizations that do provide very generous donations to us that go to helping us fund that. The Tablescapes event that is at St. Vincent in the spring, whatever profits are from that, we get half of that, which is kind of a great benefit to us. So we will continue to reach out to community resources to help continue to fund that program. So we'll continue to do that. We have great volunteers. I am very blessed to have the volunteers that I do. They come every Monday. They help pack up the bags. They come, they help distribute the lunches, whether it's 110 degrees out or not. They are out there helping distribute the bags, and we get families through and get them on their way. Many families come through and tell us that they are very appreciative of what we do. We have a lot of families in our community that are foster families. We also have a lot of families in our community that are grandparents raising grandkids. So we do what we can to help, and we're very glad that we can do that. So thank you again for the generous donation grant that you provide to us. And Dana sent me the information. I will be filling out the application again, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have for me about our program.
Is there a, pardon me, is there a specific time of year you start handing out flyers that letting folks know that this is available for the school kids?
We usually do, usually around the end of April, first part of May. We don't try to hand them out too early because we don't want them to get lost in kids' backpacks and that type of thing. We usually start the first Monday after school is out, and then we go until the first Monday before school starts. So we try to go, 2 or 3 weeks before the school year ends is when we really try to focus on getting those flyers out. Like I said, we don't want it to get lost in backpacks and those types of things.
Could you send me an email on that information, please?
Absolutely. Be happy to.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else?
Other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say thank you for everything that you do. The community is a better place with you in it.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you again. We appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Missy.
All right. Consent agenda 8-1 through 8-12.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve consent agenda items 8.1 through 8.12 as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 9, approval of new City of Andover logo, and Megan Shapaw is going to talk to us about this tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We are here tonight to approve the refreshed City of Andover logo, which we're so excited about. As a refresher, the current logo for the City of Andover has been in use for many years, since the 1990s. This decision to refresh the city logo was made at the December workshop in 2023. All members were in agreement, so we moved forward with our next steps. An RFP was sent out in April 2024 on the city's website, and we had 36 submissions received. Out of the 36 submissions, Gredeman Group was chosen to be our design firm by our selection committee. We have tonight with us Ashley Bowen Cook and Kendall Shellhorn with the Gredeman Group, and they're going to give an overview on their process over the last 5 months with the governing body, the stakeholder group, and the community itself. At the end, the logo will be revealed for your final approval, so you do not see that in your packet, but it is in their presentation tonight. So I will go ahead and invite the ladies up.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you for having us this evening. I'm Ashley Bowen Cook, and we'll jump right in and get going on this. So just a quick overview of the process that we went through. Basically, the assignment was, again, to develop a new logo and update the overall branding for the city with a modernized visual identity. The approach that we took on this is that we conducted research to understand the community, its values and goals, and then from there developed a master brand logo, graphic standards, and now are turning it over to the city for implementation and rollout. We started the process in September and conducted the research through October and November, and then provided the logo and are ready to launch for January.
This is a little repetitive for most of you in the room, but do want to go through the research and discovery process for the greater public and just for the record as well. As part of our research, we conducted 2 surveys. The first survey that we did was for city council members and key stakeholders. And through the research that we did, we really put all of our learnings and findings into developing a series of logos for you guys. The first question we asked was, why do people seek out Andover? And here you'll see the results that people submitted. It's called a thought bubble, and the most frequent answer is larger on your screen. So you'll see the top answer that was repeated was community, followed by family and quality. That's why people seek out Andover. The next question we asked, adjectives that describe your city. The top answer was vibrant. You guys are a vibrant city. You're not subtle. You are friendly and you're educated. The next question, we asked people to list the qualities that your logo should convey. And through this list of qualities that we received, your brand identity is sincerity. That's your brand personality. Some of those qualities invoke community, compassion, family, home, quality of life, safe, convenient. We also asked what emotion your logo should evoke. And you guys said happy. You want a caring emotion. You want closeness. Next, we took a deep dive into your competitors. We asked you to list who your key competitors are, and here were your top competitors listed: Derby, Mays, Wichita, and Goddard. And then next, we asked you each to evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of those competitors. And then following that, we did evaluate secondary competitors, some smaller cities, but we still wanted to take them into consideration and evaluate what they were doing as well. And then next, we had our stakeholder group actually perform an exercise here in this room. We listed about 27 logos of various cities throughout the country, mainly in the Midwest. And then we asked each individual to put a green dot on the logos that they liked and a red dot on the logos that they didn't like. And from there, we had a really robust discussion about what you guys like and don't like in various logos. And then we asked about your color preference. I really want to harp on, we did ask for your input and we took your input into account. We definitely included the color blue in the logo, and we heard you when you liked gold as a secondary color, a gold yellow. And then the last question we asked was extremely important. We asked if you guys wanted to see an evolution or a revolution. And 55%, so the majority, said that they wanted to see an evolution. And just for the group, here's an example of an evolution. This is a logo that we did. We took the city of Wichita's old logo and they wanted an evolution. We evolved it so it's still very similar. It still maintains its essence and its original identity, but it's modernized, simplified, updated. And then we also explored what a revolution would look like for the city of Wichita, which they did not proceed with. And then the second survey we did was for the community. It was a condensed survey, only multiple choice questions, but we did want to give the community an opportunity to weigh in as well. Here we had a total of 467 responses, which we were really happy about. This was distributed in the October sewer bill as well as promoted on Facebook for participants to engage. The questions we asked: what adjectives would you use to describe the city of Andover? And those top answers were clean, educated, and friendly. We asked what benefits to living in Andover. Overwhelmingly, the answer was schools. We showed 6 different logos, asked what they liked the most. The results were in line with what the stakeholder group said, really liked the city of Denver and Kansas City. And then lastly, we asked which word best describes your city. And those top answers were community and safe, or safety. Community was a common thread throughout the entire results. So I just want you to know that we did a lot of research. We took all of that into account. We then moved into an extensive logo development phase where we had 3 graphic designers work independently on this logo and then also collaboratively on the choices we narrowed down. And here is the logo.
All right. This concept is an evolution of the beloved city logo, building on the equity and community admiration for the current brand. It elevates the mark in several ways by straightening up the tilt to make it appear more stable and strong, creating a simple A shape, making the mark symmetrical. We simplified and reduced the number of rays, making them easier to reproduce. A bold word mark with a more stylized font and a reduction in the letter spacing shortens the word and centers the O under the sun. Kansas weight and emphasis is reduced, allowing Andover to be the star. And then the next is just showing the how kind of the mathematics of the logo. Just for everyone's sake, an X height is what is very standard in logo practice. It's taking the height of the letters and then you put that spacing above and below to give the logo buffer room. So that's an example that's in your graphic standards. And then the next slide, you'll see the applications of the logo in the different color palettes on white and color, on blue and color, and then reversed out, which is where it's white on black and then black on white. And you're next.
We also want to emphasize the color is not showing up appropriately with these big neon or lights overhead, but it is very beautiful on paper. Here are the colors that we went with. There's a blue, there's a yellow gold, and then a white for neutral. But then we did add in the green that can be utilized with sub-brands, specifically thinking about Parks and Rec. Here's your city logo city and county logo lockup.
We're Butler County though.
We're Butler County.
That is a mistake. I apologize. We'll update this. I was so fixated on the new logo.
We'll just take it off your bill.
It's okay. And here's an example of the logo applied. This is not necessarily what you're going to do, but showing you the opportunities that you can utilize the logo on various apparels, as well as a t-shirt, vehicles, and this is how the logo would set with the different departments. How it might be applied in some other areas. And there it is. There's your old logo with your new logo. And we are very appreciative for the opportunity to work on this. Thank you.
So you're here tonight to approve the logo, but we are here for any questions, myself, Gredeman Group as well.
Mr. Mayor, I do have one for Megan, I guess. What's our time frame to kind of start working on the trucks, vehicles, stuff like that? Do we have
We do, yes. I've put together a big phase document. So the first phase is the first 6 months. So now through this summer. And then we have a phase 2, which is for the rest of the year. Phase 3 is 2026. And then phase 4 is 2026 and beyond. I have talked to, I think, every department head, though, about their individual things multiple times. So again, it's going to be a slow rollout, but you might see some things change over this week. Like our Facebook page will change over pretty fast. Our website should change over next week. And then you'll start to gradually see things just starting to switch over. But we want to be thoughtful. We don't want to just slap it onto things just to get it out there. So we are taking our time to make sure we like it on business cards, apparel, all of those kind of things as well.
I guess, do we have a whole, most companies don't have logoed paper anymore, but do we have a whole lot of, logoed paper envelopes that we have to?
We have like letterhead. So a lot of digital things that I've started working on, like Microsoft Word, PowerPoints, things like that.
But we don't have like reams of letterhead sitting in the back room. We need to use
Not
that
to
for-
my knowledge.
Okay. And envelopes, how are we on? Do we have a bunch?
I
of
don't
envelopes?
think we have the A on a lot of those.
The envelopes have just the words, if
Yeah.
I can see that in my mind correctly.
I guess my thing is I've gone through rebranding and it's like a 4-year process by the time you get through everything. So I just, it's exciting to see the new stuff. And if we can get the, Parks and Rec guys to get their new truck logos and stuff. So especially since these wonderful ladies spent a bunch of time getting the logos done. So. Even though we're in Butler County.
That's my bad too. I didn't even catch that. I just rolled on through that.
What phase, Megan, will the clothing be and stuff?
Clothing should be in phase 1 for the most part, but there are several items. I've talked with Chief Russell extensively about this because they have a lot more expensive gear that would come out of their specific budget. So it's not all going to turn over at once. Some of their things like winter coats that they don't use all the time or heavier gear, that might still have your old logo on it until it's time to order something because it has a hole in it and things like that. So some of those are further down the line, but
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the new City of Andover logo as presented this evening, designed by the Gredeman Group.
Second.
Jody? Any further questions or discussion?
I just want to say, great job. It was fun to be a part of the process with you guys. You guys are amazing. It's something that I would have never realized the information intensity that goes into it. And then with you guys bringing back the different ideas that you did and then what ultimately you came up with, it impresses me. Thank you.
And it's worth noting that most of our school districts from Sedgwick County, so it'd be fine, right? Thank you for your work.
That's an easy fix.
They think they live here, so we did all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Very good job. All right. 10-1 Central Park Lodge bid package A2. And Daniel's going to talk to us. Hey, Daniel.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Happy to be here tonight. As you might remember, in our December meeting, we brought you an early release package for the Lodge project. We're back here tonight here in January, obviously, to present to you the full scope of work, the guaranteed max price for the Lodge. We do have Scott Bonebrake with us tonight from Key Construction. If you have any detailed questions, all of the bid packages are attached to your packet. You can see they had a lot of good response rates on most of those, 4 to 5, sometimes 6 respondents. So they feel like they're getting a pretty effective price point there on a lot of those. We are slightly higher as we compared to several months ago is where we wanted to be. Sitting right now, the project is at 2.1, just a little over 2.1 million. That is with a 5% contingency, which is about $100,000 on the project. And as a reminder, the CMAR fee on this project is 4.25%. If you have any detailed questions, we sure can go over those right now. In your packet summary, we do highlight for a reminder where the funding for this project is coming from. There is a large portion of the project being funded from the insurance proceeds, most of which we have received already from the loss of the structures in 2022. We will get a little bit more in depreciation once we are under contract and prove to insurance that we're going to proceed with rebuild. The Park Improvement Fund is offsetting a significant chunk there, a little over $670,000, and then some ARPA funds as well, a little over $250,000. Available for any questions if you might have them, and like I said, Scott is also here too.
Anyone?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Daniel, was there anything that stuck out as far as above or below what we estimated in your mind?
Scott could probably answer that pretty well, but this was an exercise in both value engineering. We went extensively with LK Architecture and Key and city staff, trying to look for those other options, but we also had to look for more funding too. There were just certain components that were higher than expected.
Yeah, a big piece of that would be the mechanical systems. It's a very nice, user-friendly system that's going into this building that can be remote in. I know that was very, excuse me, very important for the city. If that space is being rented or being utilized, somebody can log on their computer, make adjustments other than somebody running over, unlocking the door, changing a thermostat. So it's all fully remote, accessible. Adjustments can be made. It's a pretty mechanical heavy building. There's a lot of ductwork. There's a lot of parts and pieces to it. Unfortunately, and there was some stuff that was added. There was an acoustic study done, so we had to add some metal structures on the outside to help kind of deflect and move some of the sound from the amphitheater. And unfortunately, it's the first of the year, so there's always a little bit of a, oh, hey, my product, everything goes up 1% or 2% the first of the year that we don't account for, back in September when we originally do this. So kind of the perfect storm of timing, if that answers that question.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the bids from the lowest qualified bidders as presented and accept the contract amendment, including the guaranteed maximum price proposal from Key Construction for the Central Park Lodge Package A.2 in the amount of $2,101,883 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Key Construction.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could, I do want to give you all some kudos real quick and stress in here. Nearly $250,000 that is helping to pay for this is ARPA funds. Our friends at the League of Kansas Municipalities really stressed during COVID days, you're going to get this tranche of money. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity for governments to get these infusions. And you should be really wise with these dollars and don't go and spend them right now in this pandemic rush and chaos because you don't know what's coming. And boy, was that true, right? No one saw what was coming in 2022. So I think it's important for the public to know that you all were very fiscally responsible. You didn't rush out and spend that money and that you still had some of those ARPA funds that could be used for this very important purpose in our community. So thank you for that.
All right. 11-1 Harrison Street improvements. And Rick is going to speak to us on this matter.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor and Council, we took a path different than our normal bidding process for this project due to timing constraints, for the need to get this project done a little faster with the petition. This is a petition job with two people part of it. Basically, the city's covering half of the petition and the other half is the developer of the .9. And with the timing of their scheduled opening, and then trying to build a road right in front of it was going to be pretty detrimental for that. We got the plans done. We had an engineer's estimate, and then we opted to, with the endorsement of the developer who's covering half of this cost, to enter into negotiations with Pearson Construction because they happen to be doing similar work in Andover right now, i.e. concrete paving job. And I engaged them to have them give me a proposal. The proposal was less than the engineer's estimate and also is less than the petition limit on this by a decent amount on the petition limit. The engineer's estimate was actually a little bit less than the petition limit too. If anyone has any questions about it, I'd be more happy to try to answer their questions.
Rick, just to make sure I'm understanding this right, this 260,000 is for the entire project and just not our share, just not just our share.
Correct. That is the total price.
Anyone else?
Rick or Mr. Mayor? So it might be a crazy question, but will the road be put in after or before construction of .9? The reason I ask is like construction vehicles going over the new road, that kind of thing. What will happen first?
So they're going to have to find a way into this, build this, and they're going to come in off Andover Road part of the time. We are hoping Pearson graciously agreed to go ahead and order the structures, because I don't know how many of you have heard this before, but the concrete structures seem to always be a hang up for these projects, getting them done. It's just there's so much going on. So they went ahead. We've kind of asked them to go ahead and order it, hoping that you guys would approve this. If not, we still got to have the structures when we do the job. So we'd have to buy it from them, I suppose. But they went ahead and ordered it, trying to speed this project up because the intent is to have this work completed before they open their doors.
Okay.
But it would be pretty close to the same timing. So a lot of their construction traffic would not be going over it. This is also a concrete road, so it's going to be much more durable than an asphalt road.
I'll tell you, they just did 3 roads in, they just did 3 roads in my neighborhood, man, and it couldn't have been more, Pearson couldn't have been more professional and what am I trying to say?
Efficient.
They made it very pleasant for the people that lived in the neighborhood to get in and out while they were doing the construction. So it was did quite fantastic, so I'm sure they won't have trouble with Harrison. But they did a wonderful job of accommodating the residents. I appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Pearson Construction for Harrison Street improvements in the not to exceed amount of $260,051.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. And 12-1. Case number Z-A24-0007. This is an application to change the zoning district classifications from single family to SF-2 single family residence medium density district to a MF2 attached single family resident medium density district on the property generally located at 420 West Mike Street in Andover, Kansas. Before we proceed with the hearing, I'll ask council if any of them intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because of a conflict of interest.
No.
I will now ask city council if any of them have received any ex parte verbal or written communication prior to this agenda item, which they would like to share.
No.
Has the city clerk received any protest petitions on this case?
No, sir.
I now ask city council members if they have all received copies of the draft minutes of the Planning Commission for November 19, 2024, which summarizes the hearing in this case.
Yes.
I now call on City Zoning Administrator David Westfall to provide us with a report on this case.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you very much. As you mentioned, the property is currently zoned SF2 and the applicant desires to amend the zoning district classification to MF2, which would be attached single-family residential district. The property is currently served by Andover Sewer and Water Services as well as Evergy. And it's at the edge of a transition that is currently transitioning to a more denser housing model. The use of the properties to the north and the east, for example, are already single-family attached housing. This zoning amendment would make the neighborhood more uniform and help match the character and condition of the neighborhood as it is currently. It would also be more consistent with the projected place type that is depicted in our comprehensive plan. I'd be happy to answer any further questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Westfall?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So how many units are going to be on this property?
The applicant has expressed to do pretty much what you're seeing adjacent just to the east. He's looking to replicate there. So that is an option that could exist in the MF2 zoning district.
So is this one piece of property or two?
It previously
Looks like it has a little jog in it.
It previously was two. I amended it here in this first map, but you'll probably notice in the other maps.
So it is just one property?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay. Have any written communication been received from the city clerk?
No, sir.
Does the application wish to present any new information? We would like to welcome everyone interested in this agenda item to come to the podium and give your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. The governing body has been provided the draft minutes and the video of the public hearing has been made available, so please limit your comments to information not previously shared at the public hearing held on November 19, 2024. Does anyone from the public have any new information? There's no one from the public here tonight. Does the applicant have any further response to public comments? There were none, so we'll move forward. Assuming the council has received all the information they need on this case, you have received an outline of the choices provided under the state statutes for council action KSA 12-757C. Council, how do you wish to act?
Mr. Mayor, I have one question if I can ask it.
Yes, sir.
Rick, how's this road over there? I haven't driven over there. I mean, we keep adding these multifamily homes, but or is the road, it looks like it's a dirt road. Is that, I'm not for sure.
You know, it's paved.
Is that
In
paved?
fact, we've repaved that little cul-de-sac not that long ago. It's in pretty good shape.
Okay.
We've done some work up in that area. I'm trying to remember the exact condition of that road. If you give me 10 minutes, I could look it up on our
That's
street
fine.
survey, but
But it is paved though, because I mean, I'm looking at it, kind of looks, I think the roundabout looks asphalt, but the rest of it kind of looks dirt. But
it's,
if it's paved, then we're good. I
Yeah,
just
it's-
wasn't for sure.
yeah, it's not a gravel
I
road.
mean, we start adding more and more of these, multi-use families in here, and each family has 2 cars, and we're talking, 30, 40 cars driving up and down this one road. So, okay.
So I can add to that. I stagger around quite a bit, as y'all know, and that road is in really good shape. So adding one more property is not gonna make it or break it, but it is in pretty good shape.
Honestly, it's not the vehicular traffic that really causes us issues. It's the heavy traffic such as trash trucks and such. So by having the multifamily, usually they have some sort of shared service too. So you don't have multiple trips typically from multiple in a week.
Perfect. I do have one more question for Dave, or maybe Les, somebody can answer it. Do we have on like this piece of property, is there a maximum amount that he could put? Like he can only put, like, I think this one has 3 and the one next to it has 4. Is there a maximum amount of, I'll call them twin homes, but homes he could put on there?
Sure, there are limits of dwelling units. It's a ratio of dwelling unit to lot area.
Okay.
I'd have to do the math
That's
on it to
fine.
see just what would fit. In most cases, it's actually the setbacks that govern more so than the lot area.
Okay. So we don't have like they have to be 1,200 square feet, or they have to, so he could do, 7 200 square feet, little mini properties or whatever he wanted to there. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt the findings of fact and approve zoning cases ZA24-0007, changing the zoning district classification of the subject properties from the existing SF2 single-family residential medium-density district to the MF2 attached single-family residential district.
Second, Barry.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 12-1 zoning amendment 126 East Lafayette Street. Case number Z-8.
Mayor, can I interrupt real quick? I just want to mention that, you want to read it?
Gotcha. Doggone, I was starting to pat myself on the back too. Persons aggrieved by the final decision of the council on this matter have 30 days after today's action within to appeal to the district court. Thank you, Jay. I was feeling good about myself. And what'd you do? Just.
I thought you were just taking a deep breath to read it and then.
All right. Case number Z-A24-0008. This application, darn it. This is an application to change zoning district classification from S2-2 Single Family Residence Medium Density District to the MXN Neighborhood Transition Mixed Use District on the property generally located at 126 East Lafayette Street, Andover, Kansas. Before we proceed with the hearing, I'll ask the council if any of them intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because they have a conflict of interest.
No.
I will now ask city council if any of them have received any ex parte verbal or written communication prior to this agenda item, which they would like to share.
No.
Has the city clerk received any protest petitions on the case?
No, sir.
I now ask city council members if they have all received copies of the draft minutes of the Planning Commission for November 19th, 2024, which summarizes the hearing of this case. Yes.
Yes.
I now call on City Zoning Administrator David Westfall to provide us with a report on this case.
Mr. Mayor, Council. So the applicant in this case is wishing to amend the zoning district in order to develop the site for commercial use. To point out a couple of things for any actions you take tonight. First, the subject's property is fairly close to a school. So it's important to note that any sale of alcoholic beverages would not be permitted within 100 feet of that school. Additional historical context, this property has previously been used for commercial purposes. So this zoning amendment request is, not out of the question. It's consistent with its previous uses. In the eyes of the Planning and Zoning Department, the proposed zoning change would be consistent with the projected trail-oriented corridor place type in the comprehensive plan. And additionally, Evergy and Andover Water and Sewer currently serve this property. Be happy to answer any of the questions you might have.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
What's he planning on doing with the piece of property?
They have expressed maybe doing something kind of like a bike rental sort of operation. They haven't committed necessarily to any one thing. They are seeking the MXN for that reason. It gives them a little bit more flexibility to adopt whatever commercial endeavor they so choose.
So forgive me, I don't know my codes very well. So is he able to, would he be able to put a restaurant or I can't do a bar because he can't serve liquor, but I guess my question is it's surrounded by residents. So, is he able to put something in that's going to basically affect their lively there in their neighborhood? Are we talking, we can't do a bar and grill, but can you do a restaurant? Can you do, what can he do with this change?
Sure. So it'd be anything that's permitted in the B2 zoning district. So to give you an idea of some of those, be bed and breakfast and childcare centers, chapels, food stores, philanthropic institution, restaurants without drive-throughs, retail service businesses. And then in addition, some of the additional MXN permitted uses are single-family detached, two-family dwellings, banks, businesses, professional offices. So there's a pretty wide variety.
Yeah, because I know it used to be a plumbing place, but a plumbing place is definitely not a restaurant. It's not going to be causing any harm to these neighbors. So I think that's my biggest concern with this property of us rezoning it is, I think it's great that he wants to do something that's right off the Redbud Trail. There are neighbors all around that property. So just imagine where you live and somebody wants to open a business right across the street from you. So I think that's my biggest fear, concern is, we have to think about the neighbors as well, not just the one property owner, even though it does fill that trail corridor need that we have. Does he own, I guess, property 120 as well, or is it just that piece?
It's just that flag shape that's outlined there in David's exhibits. I think, Tim, it's important to note that a good share of this neighborhood is multifamily housing.
Okay.
I think it's important to note that there is an upsurgence of conversion in this area, in the old Andover area, from single-family residences along Andover Road that are being converted to businesses because of all of that activity around the school, because of all that activity around the trail, because of that 14 or 15,000 trips a day on Andover Road. It's probably not a prime location for single-family residences. Thus, we land on this zone with smaller tracts. The size of the tracts will limit the activity, the commercial or retail activity that can happen on those parcels.
And I understand that, but you know, you have Mary Smith who's lived at the house 3 doors down for 30 years. And I mean, we have to think about these people as well. I get it. So I do know it has does it have a Morton building on this property or garage or something on it, correct?
Yes.
Is that, I guess, one of them, it said it wasn't permitted or it wasn't, I can't remember. One of the meetings I watched, either site plan or one of the said that it was an unpermitted building. Is that correct?
It certainly has permits.
Okay.
The history on that building, as you said, was a plumbing shop.
Right.
For years. It was a plumbing shop when I came to work here. Over the course of the years, property was bought around it, agglomerated, and there were multifamily dwellings that were built adjacent. Then this parcel was platted off from those multifamily dwellings.
Okay. I don't have any more questions, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So what came first, the plumbing store or shop or the houses to the west? When we talk about history, I guess.
I would say they're all about the same vintage.
Okay.
I thought the garage or the Morton building was put in the mid 2000s. I thought is what I read or what someone said.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
But the plumbing shop building, that is a storefront building.
Right. Right.
Is probably in 1940s, 1950s vintage. As are most of the houses in the neighborhood.
Les, I'm just trying to visualize. So the entrance to this business would have to come in off of the Lafayette Street on that little stretch right there to get to this business, right? There's a drive that goes
Correct.
back to it. And if they were to put any business of substantial size, there would have to be adequate parking to meet the needs of whatever went there.
Correct. And it would
Okay.
have to be off-street parking.
Okay. And I assume the edge of that property is within 100 feet of the edge of the school line, which is why we called it out from not being able to sell alcohol within the 100 feet, because I'm assuming that at the edge of that property is within 100 feet.
Correct.
Okay.
The 200-foot line or whatever it is for the sale of alcohol cuts across the center of this
The
parcel.
center. Okay.
Anyone else? Have any written communications been received by the city clerk?
No, sir.
Does the applicant wish to present any new information? The applicant is not here this evening. We would like to welcome everyone interested in this agenda to come to the podium and give your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. The governing body has been provided. The draft minutes and the video of the public hearing has been made available, so please limit your comments to information not previously shared at the public hearing held on November 19, 2024. Does anyone from the public have any new information? No one from the public is here, so we'll move on. Does the applicant have any further response to the public's comments? And there were none. Assuming the council has received all the information they need on this case, you have received the outline of the choices provided under the state statutes for council action KSA 12-757C. Council, how do you wish to act?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
move to adopt the findings of fact and approve zoning cases ZA 24-0008, changing the zoning district classification of the subject properties from the existing SF2 single-family residential medium density district to the MXN neighborhood transition mixed use district.
Second, O'Kadys.
Any further questions or discussion?
I'm going to vote yay for this, but I'm not excited about it. I just, as somebody who kind of lives in the old part of Andover, it just scares the hell out of, excuse my language, but it scares me to death that, you know, we're allowing one piece of property to move over and I mean, we don't know what he's going to do with this, and people at, you know, the 1521 Herman, they may, I mean, these people live there. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to get that out there. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, and one thing I was kind of interested in, the applicant's not here, but it was noted in the November minutes that he had attempted to contact the homeowner that lives in that property that he was surrounded, and at that time he had been unable to speak with them. I was kind of wondering if in the last 2 months he's had the chance to actually speak to the person that lives there and kind of see what that conversation looked like.
What would happen? Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I do have a question. What would happen, David, if kind of like Tim said, instead of we did this little section, if we did that whole, what if we zone the whole thing that way? The whole, let's call that the triangle there.
Oh, so like 120 and 126?
Yeah, I think.
I'm not sure I understand your question. You're saying what are some of the long-term implications of that, or?
I mean, why wouldn't we go ahead and do that whole section as opposed to this one little section?
You can only change what was applied for and the public hearings were held on at this time. But I think it's important to look at that comprehensive plan, future land use map, and see that it's the intent to make a larger conversion from residential to more retail and service businesses that service the Red Bud Trail corridor.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Tuscany fourth phase. Oh, thank you. Yeah, again. Persons aggrieved by the final decision of council on this matter have 30 days after today's action within which to appeal to the district court. Thank you all. Tuscany 13-1, fourth revised paving petition, amended resolution and developers agreement. And Jolene's going to talk to us about this. How are you?
Doing well. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Before you tonight is a revised paving petition, amended resolution and developers agreement. It is a project that has bid, and the bid came over the engineer's estimate. So it comes before you tonight for a revision. This is a project that is 100% assessed to the benefit district. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No one?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Move to accept the revised position for paving improvements, approve the amended developers agreement, and adopt an amending resolution of advisability related to the Tuscany fourth edition.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 13-2 Tuscany fourth, amended work ordinance, and Jolene again will speak to us on this.
This is the related amended work ordinance that is for your prior, goes along with your prior agenda item. If you have any questions, I'm happy to stand for it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Move to adopt an amending ordinance authorizing the construction of certain internal improvements related to the Tuscany fourth edition.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 13-3 bid award Tuscany fourth phase bid award street improvements. And Rick will talk to us about this.
This is just the third of this and final item of this action tonight for Tuscany. As your assistant city administrator earlier stated, the bids were a little bit above the petition limits, which is what drove all this action tonight. The bids were competitive and we feel good about them. So we're going to recommend award at this point.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the lowest qualified bid from Pearson Construction LLC, Wichita, Kansas, and the not to exceed amount of $565,802, and reject all the other bids and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for the paving improvements to serve Tuscany Edition 4th phase.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion?
Real quick, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Rick, we only had 2 bids then for this, is that right?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Well, I guess I would add, generally we only get 3 anyway. There's really only 3 paving contractors, but there's a lot of work right now. It's probably why we only got 2.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 14-1 Prairie Creek 7th Edition Boffman Engineering Agreement. And Jolene's going to talk about this.
Before you tonight is the engineering agreement for Prairie Creek 7th Edition. You have already accepted the petitions and approved all the resolutions and developers agreements and amended sanitary sewer petition and work ordinances related to that. Boffman Company did prepare the final plat for this edition, and typically the city of Andover does retain the platting engineer to provide the design for the public improvements. The total for this contract is $179,500, and that is about 16.6% of the construction estimate. This is a lower cost than what we typically see for engineering agreements for these types of improvements. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Jolene, is there a reason, sorry to catch you mid-drink, is there a reason they're lower? I mean,
I think typically we see between 20 and 26% for engineering agreements. It depends upon the complexity of the project. It depends upon the engineering firms and the types of personnel that they have assigned to the projects. So it does vary. We see between firms to firm. So this project just happened to come in at this 16.6%.
have the other phases been Boffman as well for Prairie Creek?
Les,
Yes, Les is saying yes. We're going to look to him.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I move to approve the agreement with Boffman Company, PA, Wichita, Kansas, for the engineering, design, and construction phase services for the public improvements related to Prairie Creek 7th Edition in the not-to-exceed amount of $179,500.
Second, Barry.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Joint Water Service Agreement, City of Wichita for northwest corner of 21st and Andover Road.
This joint agreement is the second of this kind to come before you. The first one we had earlier or last year was for Southern Hills, and it is agreement between the City of Wichita, Rural Water District Number 5, City of Andover, and the property owner. This property exists within Rural Water District Number 5's territory, and they have agreed for the City of Wichita through its contract with the City of Andover to provide water services. The addition to note is that the property owners will pay a flat rate of $5.10 per month to Rural Water District Number 5. These fees will be collected by the City of Andover through our utility billing process and then remitted back to Rural Water District 5. This is the same type of agreement that was set forth for the Southern Hills Edition. Rural Water District Number 5 does reserve the right to review these rates and to potentially adjust them every 5 years based on actual water usage reports provided to them through the City of Andover. Upon your acceptance tonight, this agreement will be forwarded to the City of Wichita for their consideration, and this will complete the joint agreement. The city attorney has reviewed this agreement, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to stand for them.
Mr. Mayor, I do have one.
Yeah.
Jolene, I don't see anything in here about, and I think I asked this on the last one, a maximum they can raise it. Do we have a max that they can raise it every 5 years?
No, there is not a maximum established.
Okay. So, I mean, in 5 years, they can say, we want $50 a month. I mean, what keeps them from doing that?
What it does do is it limits them to the actual usage. So they are reviewing the usage reports and then determining a rate based on that. Right now, it's, for all intents and purposes, a guess. And so this is a rate that's intended to provide for the long-term maintenance of the infrastructure.
Where do these people get their water now? Rural Water?
Rural Water District Number 5, it is their territory. So they are obliged to provide water to this site. They have determined it is more feasible for the City of Wichita to provide to this site rather than to build the infrastructure necessary.
Okay. So I guess what's the backstory to this? Why are we doing this? I mean, they currently have water now, correct?
No,
No.
no.
These buildings don't have water?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Les. You go ahead.
Story on that. These properties are currently served by Rural Water 5.
Okay.
They're served by a very small pipe, like a 2.5-inch pipe, which wouldn't support fire hydrants for the commercial development of these properties. That's the whole impetus.
So that's why we're trying to.
Right.
Okay.
We have a 12-inch and a 16-inch pipe at that corner that can support commercial growth.
Pretty much
Whereas
Rural
Rural
Water.
Water 5 would have to run pipes from over a mile away.
So Rural Water basically controls anything and everything.
North and east of
Yeah.
21st and Andover Road.
So we want to grow. They're like, no, we don't want to. So we go to Wichita, but those people are held at mercy of Rural Water, whatever they feel like they want to charge.
This is going to be a reoccurring theme as there's desire to continue to annex outside of your current.
Right.
This will be a very reoccurring theme.
And the folks that own that property in red have every intention of all that being commercial and probably high water usage in doing so. So that's the point of this, is they're not going to be able to keep up, right? So.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
And then when it comes down to like, I call it a pass-through charge, on our bill and stuff. Do we take any administrative fee for that, or do we call this like marketing and just throw it on our utilities bill and there's no cost that, you know what I mean? Like, are we doing it like good faith marketing to the commercial, or is there a fee on there that we collect for Matt having to go through all the bills and look at the water usage?
No, we are not collecting an administrative fee.
Thank you.
So to tie into Homer's question, I mean, I get a bill from Wichita, so will they collect the fee and then turn it back over to us? No.
No,
No.
we collect the fee, right?
We will collect the fee on our utility bill.
Okay.
The City of Wichita will not be collecting that fee as part of the water bill.
So on their sewer bill, they will have the
Yes.
charge.
Okay.
And
So
does
on
everybody-
our Andover sewer bill, it will say Rural Water 5 district fee 510 or whatever.
Yes.
Whatever.
And
Okay.
then we will remit that.
Okay, perfect.
And as we all know, if you've been on any kind of social media or paid attention at all, that Wichita City Council just approved to raise all of our water bills yet again. So
It's
there
for the
you go.
gold water, right?
Hmm?
Gold water, right? Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the joint water service agreement with the City of Wichita Rural Water District Number 5 and 21st Street LLC for water services for 4 acres generally located at the northeast corner of 21st Street and Andover Road.
Anyone?
Second, Mary.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Where am I at? 16-1, tablet computers for patrol vehicles, and Neil's going to talk to us.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. It's been a while. Before I get started this evening, I would like to take a quick moment to introduce our new IT manager in the back of the room, Christopher Dean. He's been here for just over a week now and has already proven to be a great asset to the city. And if you didn't get a chance to meet Christopher before the meeting, please feel free to do so after. He'll be here. He's working with Trey this evening to kind of learn the system back there and look at the AV setup. So thanks, Christopher. All right. So as you recall, in our previous budget meetings and discussions, the Panasonic Toughbooks that are used in patrol vehicles, also used by the captains and the investigations department at PD, have reached the end of life. The IT department has provided for your consideration this evening 2 quotes from Turnkey Mobile for a total of $84,955. These quotes will allow us to refresh 20 outdated tablets. They do come with a 5-year warranty, and we will continue to plan to refresh these every 5 years. So they will be under warranty the entire time. The requested funds for these tablets and this refresh have been included in the 2025 adopted budget, with PD covering $60,000 and IT covering the remaining $24,955. And at this time, I'll stand for any questions.
Neil, or is it just this one company that we got bids from?
Correct. Panasonic does not sell directly, and these are Panasonic Toughbooks. They do not sell direct. You have to use one of their resellers. They will not pit one reseller against another. Once you get your original quote through, in this case, Turnkey, they will not allow CDW or anyone else to quote, just as a cross.
What other tablets or what other I guess workbooks do other departments use through our area? Is it all Panasonic Toughbooks?
Panasonic is pretty much the gold standard. Dell has some. We tested those out and thoroughly vetted other systems, and we're not happy with them. Our officers also requested to keep the Panasonic. They've had them for 5 years now, and they love them. I mean, they've held up, no warranty issues. They've been solid. Yeah.
But I only ask because it seems like the police department, it's nothing against Chief Buchanan. The police department bring these things to us, and it's always one bid. It's always just one bid, no matter what. It's always one bid. While we scream at Rick or we scream at everybody else that we need multiple bids, we need multiple bids. So, that's why I'm trying to figure out.
Sure. And in the defense of the police department, this was all IT that went and did this. So with the one bid, it is us this time. So it is for PD, but it's done by me. So,
all right, perfect.
Yep.
So I believe, the Panasonics are the best.
Yeah.
They're
amazing.
They're the top. And they last forever. So
sure.
I fully support this.
Sure. And to expand on that, if you'd like, the Turnkey has been our vendor for the last 5 years. And because of the great service, that would be the reason as to why we didn't go to CDW and have them get the quote from Panasonic.
Okay.
We liked our service.
Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to approve 2 quotes provided by Turnkey Mobile Inc., Jefferson City, Missouri, in the amount not to exceed $84,955 for replacement Panasonic tablets for patrol vehicles, captains, and investigations.
Second. Homer.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Wastewater, 17-1 supplemental agreement wastewater treatment plant for inspection and testing services. And Rick's going to talk to us about this.
So the original engineering agreement, we intentionally left the on-site inspection and testing services out until we had a complete set of plans. We had a good idea of exactly how long it was going to take, or a good idea how long the actual construction time would take and the complexity of it. We didn't have any surprises afterwards. The original agreement included some minor parts of construction administration, but not the on-site parts of it, such as the on-site testing and the daily inspections. This job is inspected to run, I believe it's 760 days of actual construction. So it's going to be a long-term job. At times, there's likely to be 2 inspectors at some of these times out there on the site at the same time because of the complexity and where the work will be being done and spread out. The hourly rate is what we'll actually pay. We just get a not to exceed amount. So we'll actually only pay the hours they work. If, as part of our bid package or in the agreement with the bid package on the contractor side, will be, should they work Saturdays or holidays, the contractor chooses to work those days, they're not being charged those days, but if they choose to work those days, then they will have to repay for that extra inspection cost. So that's a choice they have to make if they want to take advantage of that. We won't bore that cost. This is brings the total for the whole plant to a little over 4 million, which is, as Jolene alluded to earlier, on subdivision work, we're looking at 20-25%. We're not near that on this type of work here. It's a lot less, but there is some savings in volume, and stuff like that. And being able to dedicate, they're going to be able to dedicate staff there for 3 years. At least 1 and sometimes 2 people there, along with their in-house testing services. I'd be happy to stand for any questions if you so have some.
Anyone?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the supplemental agreement with Professional Engineering Consultants PA for $1,080,255 for inspection and testing services for the wastewater plant expansion project.
Second, O'Kadys.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 18-1, change order cottages at Cornerstone, and Rick's going to talk to us about this.
So before you is a project that's kind of been closed out for a while. We went back and forth on this change order with the various parties because of the way it happened. The work was completed before it was brought to us for the change order. In full disclosure, I initially rejected it, and we went through a lot of debate and discussion about it. I am recommending that we go ahead and approve this change order. Feel like the contractor needs to be paid for this work. They did the work in somewhat good faith. I mean, it does say, that all work, change order work needs to be approved prior to, but the reality of it was when this came up, it was time to start paving, and it would have put this job back for a substantial amount of time. So in good faith to the developer and to helping the engineer on hand get it moving along, because it was left out of the plans is what happened. It was just not put in, and it was an oversight. And so when it was caught that these pipes needed to be in, it needed to get down before the pavement got down. So it was a kind of a rush job by the contractor to pivot and go ahead and get it done. We're not super happy about it, in full disclosure, because we feel like it takes away the city's ability to have any say in it once it's done. And I would say we've had lots of healthy discussion with the engineer on this job about this work and about it. And we expect not to see this happen in the future. However, this is a contractor that does a lot of work for the city of Andover. In discussions with them, they enjoy working with us a lot and feel like we treat people fairly and so forth. And, it's one of those relationships we want to keep because we want to keep these vendors bidding on our work in the future too. And we don't want to kind of, I guess, make them pay for something. This is a 100% petition job. So the developer And if he sells it, then any potential buyers down the road will be paying for this work, not just the citizens at large. So it'd be tacked on to their
Special
price.
assessments.
Yeah.
Rick, let me make sure I understand. So the work was necessary and needed. They just didn't go through the proper channels to get it approved in the way that they should have.
Yeah, when it was identified that it was omitted out of the plans, what should have happened, normally, you would have time to catch it. You would say, oh, you know, you don't catch it last minute. You say, we made a mistake. We forgot to add it. You go through the process, you would get the change order done, and we would prove on down the road and get it done. This, with the timing of it was poor, not desired timing on that. I will say that omissions happen in plans. Nobody's ever perfect. So it does happen. It's not that it never happened. It's just the timing on it was not great.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
So the work's been completed. How did the inspections handle then if it was in a sense done under our noses, right? And we weren't aware that the work was being done. What's the inspection look like then on that?
So the inspector knew it was getting done. The engineering firm and inspector knew that it was getting done and the change order was being worked up. But by the time it even got to us, because it takes a few days to, a week or so for them to come up with the change order and get all the signatures before it gets to us, and the engineer vet it and approve it before it gets to us. There's a time lapse there. And they were ready to pay when they noticed it.
Has there been any framing done or anything on this project?
I don't think so, because they're working on Fifth, but I don't think there's been, unless maybe you can answer, has he pulled any permits over on cottages yet?
So essentially it's just roads over there, correct?
Correct.
And what kind of time frame when you say engineer and inspector and construction person are doing it, like what's the time frame that you find out about it, or how do you find out that the change order hadn't been done?
I found out about it when they sent in the change order request. It was kind of, what do we got here?
How long ago was that?
This has been a long time ago. There's been a lot of emails back and forth. Some difficult conversations have taken place, let's put it that way.
Okay.
And it's been made clear that this is to be avoided in the future.
So what happens in the future, let's say, I'm just not holding up anything tonight in regards to this, but happens in the future, what do we do then? I mean, we're kind of setting a precedence, right, with this.
Well, you're not obligating yourself, in my opinion, to approve this in the future. And should this happen again with the exact same party, I probably would make them, the engineer, come and present this. And my recommendation on it would probably be written differently.
So Rick, can you explain what this is? Install 2-inch PVC and 4-inch PVC. Can you explain what that is?
So this is a maintenance included type of area, and they're going to have to run wire for the irrigation system underneath the road to get across the road, and irrigation pipes, and stuff. And so instead of putting, 6-7 wells out there all over the place, they're wanting to do one well, and they're kind of like a little mini water system in there to service all this area.
Okay. So the 27,360 is actually being paid for specials by the landowners, when they buy their house, they're paying for it by special. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure on this model if they're going to sell. I think they're going to sell these individually, but the maintenance included is part of the package.
Yeah, I would probably tell him in KEC that we don't let this happen again. I think, I've spoken to you before in the past. I have a feeling you've probably said that to them in more specific words. So, yeah, it seems like it's always something some days. So, okay.
Yeah, no, I've communicated very clearly.
And they've been good partners in the past, so, right.
The contractor,
Yeah.
Yeah, the contractors, we've worked with the contractor quite a bit and we're happy with him.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve change order number 3 to the Cottages of Cornerstone Paving Project contract in the amount of $27,360 for a total project cost of $1,675,467.34.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 19-1, code ordinance change adding street closure by a resolution. And Daniel will speak to us again about this.
Good evening, Mayor and Council again. Last summer, excuse me, you will remember we had discussions at your workshop in May regarding the continually bringing road closure approvals and vending approvals and so on and so forth to the governing body. The decision at that time was to shift some of those authorities to various levels of staff in order to do some housekeeping on our city code. Your first item 19.1 is to adopt ordinance under adopt ordinance 1941, creating a new article number 2 under chapter 18. That's related to the temporary road closures that could be implemented with your permission of and approval of your police chief, your fire chief, and your director of public works. It's probably worth noting these are temporary road closures, not vacating roads, vacating of the public right of way. And answer any questions if you have any about that.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Just to be clear for the public too, Daniel, it's police chief, fire chief, and director of public works. Could it be one of their
Designees.
I don't think it's called out that way. I would say that if you have a situation where you have an interim or acting chief, that would be part of the role when they're serving in that capacity, but it doesn't, I don't believe it calls. Well, I think the resolution you're going to approve leaves it vested with them. This ordinance indicates you're delegating your authority to city officials. And then the next step of that's going to identify those specific roles.
And then Daniel, this is mostly for like barbecue in the cul-de-sac, national night out, that kind of stuff, closures, and maybe
Special
4th of July.
events, the parade at GAD, the repetitive items we had with growth kept coming back, pretty much every meeting with 1 or 2 of those. So those will happen at that senior staff level now.
Well, don't be a stranger. We like seeing you still.
I was going to say, that was the only way I knew what was going on.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt ordinance 1941, creating Article 2 of Chapter 18, allowing the public street closure by resolution, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second, Barry.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 19.2 resolution park special use authorization and fee schedule. And Daniel will talk to us about this as well.
So in continuation, the new resolution 2501 will include the language that we just discussed about temporary road closures being able to be handled by those senior staff. It also includes the special use authorizations that we typically came to you for, such as vending in the parks, fundraising activities, and those sorts of things. That will be handled at the staff level through staff that are designated by the city administrator. And as of right now, the plan is to utilize the city clerk, myself, and Rick, your director of public works. As a reminder, it does not cover vending or consuming alcoholic beverages. It still doesn't involve fireworks. All of those larger activities would still come to the governing body for approvals. I think that summarizes that one. I can answer any further questions if you have.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
And to be clear, did we already approve the fees, or this is also approving the fees, the new fees as well?
So you,
Go ahead, Dan.
I presented your fees last year when
You're
we
right.
opened 13. And at the time did not know that the fee schedule was actually attached to the resolution. So we adopted a fee. You approved the fees. We've been operating under that. And now we have housekeeping to actually put it into the resolution.
Great, thanks, Daniel.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt Resolution 25-01 that amends and restates Chapter 4 of the City of Andover Policy and Guidelines regarding the parkland and facility use policy and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second, Barry.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Very well done, Daniel. Thank you. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for. Fire engine replacement, and Chad's going to talk to us about this tonight.
Wow, no pressure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I've been waiting for 21.
What are friends for, right?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Bottom line, up front, I'm coming to you this evening to purchase a new fire engine. The engine would be from Pierce Manufacturing for a total cost of $1.1 million. And it would be delivered in late 25 or early 26. So let me back up a little bit. The engine that we're wanting to replace is 27 years old. It's a 1998 Central States. As we've talked about before, NFPA, or National Fire Protection Association standards, is really what we're held to. Their standard is any engine that's 15 years old should be considered for replacement, and anything 20 years old should be retired. So at 27 years old, the engine that we're talking about replacing is certainly well past NFPA standards. And even more importantly than that, as the guy who needs to be telling you how your service is being delivered, the fire truck is just not able to make fire calls anymore. We're doing the best we can to Band-Aid it together, but it's tired and it needs to be replaced. If we were able to get this new engine, we would be replacing that 98. And then we would be moving your 2007 Pierce to Station 3, where it makes a few calls from that station and also offers an operational readiness. So when we have one of our other two engines down for maintenance or for repair, that engine comes in and helps cover those absences. This replacement planning is not something that we take lightly. The first fire truck I was involved in purchasing was $257,000. I am old, I get it, but I'm not that old. My goodness, I can't believe we're talking about this.
That was in 98.
I'm sorry?
That was in 98.
That was in 95. Yep, 94 for a 95. Yep. So we take this very seriously. $1.1 million is an astronomical amount of money. So we want to make sure we're doing this correctly. And we're trying to follow absolutely every best practice we can to make sure that we're giving you the right advice. One of the things we're doing is using an objective formula put together by the American Public Works Association. So every year we evaluate your entire fleet based on this APWA formula. And it takes a look at objective data such as mileage, of course, also engine hours, pump hours, condition, those types of things. And it spits out a rating number, if you will. And the engine that we're replacing is more than twice the rating number that would qualify for immediate replacement. This purchase would be made through HGAC. I have all kinds of acronyms tonight. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to explain all of them. So HGAC is the Houston Galveston area contract. I think that's right. So Houston Galveston area something. So what it is a consortium where they have gotten together and they go out for bids and get bids for thousands of different things. They have everything from staplers to fire trucks to bulldozers to lawnmowers and everything in between. Because of its competitive bid nature, that complies with our bidding requirements. So we used this first in 2015 to purchase your current ladder truck. And we would offer to use that same pricing model to purchase this truck. And not only is it a savings, but it also really helps a small fire department like us in a hugely challenging proposition of specifying an entire fire engine. The last time we built a fire engine, I was talking with the folks at the factory, and I said, from the time we start until the time we get done, how many decision points are in there? We didn't make all of these, but when you make one, it cascades out. There's 1.5 million decisions in building a fire truck. There are over 300 colors of fire engine red. So just a color, 300 choices. It's an absolutely mind-blowing experience.
Does this one meet Megan's color code?
Yes,
Okay,
Megan has
check.
approved the color. We're good. We haven't talked about it, Megan. Shake your head. One of the reasons that we're bringing you this particular truck in this particular fashion is because the world has changed. We all know it has. Post-COVID purchasing, supply chain issues are still a thing. And if we were to order a truck and just specify and build a truck, it will take you 4 years to get a truck. We don't have 4 years. So the manufacturers know that. So I'm going to share my opinion a little bit here. They're using the Henry Ford model. They make one truck and you make little bitty changes to it, but pretty much you're going to get the truck that they're making on the line, and they're going to make a lot of them. So we were able to go through the specification and make a ton of changes that are important to us, but this isn't exactly like the truck we would design. There's nothing missing that concerns me. We will be absolutely able to serve the community, and that's what's really important. Jenny was joking with me today that we were going to build a pink fire truck. And I said, as long as it can carry the firefighters and the water and the hoses and get us there, I'm good with it. Let's stay with the red though, Megan. Shake your head no now. Yes. So at the end of the day, I'm requesting, just so the listening public can hear the entire total, $1,142,996.43 to purchase the engine and some of the associated equipment that will go on the engine. The financial plan was in your packet. It will take about 12 months to get this delivered. We went through multiple different ways of paying for the purchase. We started with a lease purchase from a bank that works with the manufacturer. We talked, I talked a little bit about bonding. We talked about lease purchase from other entities. And at the end of the day, the team felt that the best move at this point is to order the truck. And then months from now, as we get closer to the delivery, we're going to release an RFP for the financing tool that works best for us. If you have questions about that, I'm going to defer those. I can answer the questions about the fire truck. So at the end of the day, I think that should answer your questions, but I would be happy to try to answer any others you have.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Chief, can you, for the people that may not know, can you please tell us where Station 3 is?
Yes.
We're not building a new station. We already
Correct.
have two, but if you could fill in Station 3, I would appreciate that.
Yep, Station 1 is the station that's been there since '94. Station 2 is the station you just built. Station 3 is in the 8400 block of Southwest Indianola.
Chief, what are we doing with the 98? Are we going to try and sell it? Are we giving it away to a small fire station? What are we doing with it?
I anticipated this question and I don't have the answer today. 12 months from now, we'll see what the market is. I will tell you that there are departments that this would be an upgrade for them. I would also say, in my opinion, I think we could probably get about $40,000 out of it right now. So I think we need to think about what that means for us, and
Might be a good steward of our community to sell it to a smaller station for a small dollar. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
It might be, in the past, we have donated not for $1, You know, we've sold them for $1. That might be the right thing to do. It also might be the right thing to put it up for sale and see what kind of offers we get. But we'll look into it as we get closer and bring you a recommendation. That's assuming nothing blows up on it. We did rebuild the transmission, gosh, in 16. It should be good, but we've not done any engine work on it.
Knock on wood.
That's right. Excuse me. And Chief, this is different than, I know the guys recently pulled out a a tank from another truck that was old. That this isn't the same truck. We still have older trucks on the fleet. Your intention with this is to lease to own?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yep. Yeah. So the tank that was pulled and repaired was actually from year 2007. Yeah. But at the tank, a great manufacturer, UPF, does a great job on those tanks. They have a lifetime warranty. So they fly folks in to do those tank welds.
Okay. I'm interested like Tim is in helping support those other communities that it might be useful. But then I also like your idea of, put it on Facebook Marketplace and see what we get
Right.
for it,
There are Facebook marketplaces for fire trucks. There's folks that do that. And that's where I always get my numbers. I don't come up with the numbers myself, but every year when we do our APWA, I reach out to those folks and ask them for an estimate of what they think. And the last estimate I got was $40K for that thing.
So the smaller fire departments out there that don't have this truck currently, or it would be an upgrade for them, do they not have the rating we do? When it comes to you saying one of those acronyms that you've mentioned, NFPA standards. So they're not up to those standards, but they are considered a fire company in that area?
Yes.
Okay.
There's still a lot of volunteer fire departments very close to us. I believe Benton's that way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wanda, who probably saved my life one day, and a few others. So there's some that may not be able to buy stuff that would come in very handy in case some lunatic falls off a shelf, or you know what I mean. So there's always the volunteer fire departments that don't pay well and don't have the money to drop on something like that.
Recently, a neighboring fire department was donated a fire truck. They didn't have a place to put it. So they're doing chili feeds and breakfasts to try to get enough money to build a barn to be able to put this donated fire truck in. It was already retired at 3 other fire departments.
So, all right.
Thanks, Chief.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the acquisition of a new fire engine and loose equipment from Conrad Fire Equipment, Pierce Manufacturing, in an amount not to exceed $1,142,996.43.
Second, Katie's.
Any further questions or discussion?
I would throw this out here, Chief and the council. I honestly think we should look into donating the 98. I mean, I know 40K is that's a lot of money, but I think if we could be good stewards and help another district within, our community, I think it would do better than what that 40,000 would do. So that's just my opinion. I just kind of want to throw that out there.
I have a question real quick. Chief, just out of curiosity, do you know if what was that, HGAC, it said they got bids. Did they have 3 bids on that? Do you know?
They have more than that.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just checking.
Yep.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
21-1 fraud risk assessment. And Matt is going to talk to us about this.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We've made it 21, the last item before member items. So I want to start, I'm gonna kind of see if you guys have any questions and let that lead some of this conversation, but let me start with just kind of an overview. and a little bit of where this came from, because I know it's the first that you've heard of it. So first things first, this is a proactive request. We have no knowledge of any fraud in our organization, which is great. That's outstanding. Even the person that has gave us this proposal said, "Oh wow, usually when we hear from people, it's because there's a problem." So we don't have a problem. We just want to make sure that we keep it that way. So we did issue an RFP to see what was out there for fraud risk and internal control assessments in the fall, and we received 9 proposals. Jolene and Madeline and I reviewed them and scored them all separately, and then came together and picked, compiled our scores and picked our top 3. We did some interviews and talked with all of them about what their process would be, what the deliverables would be, went through some of their details of their proposal, and landed on 65th North Group. So the importance of the fraud risk assessment is kind of self-explanatory. I suppose that we're going to have them, the request would be that the proposal is to have them come in and review our processes and our internal controls, not just in the finance department, across the entire organization, and assess our risk of fraud, both internal and external. And then after they're done with that, they'll make recommendations on things that we could do to improve and kind of tighten up our controls. And they'll help us write policies to make sure that we are properly documenting that, help us with creating a prioritizing the implementation of that. The part that would really be up to us in implementation is timeline, because it's depending on what items, if they were to come up with that we needed to change, if it's something like you need to add a person, well, that's probably not going to happen tomorrow, but we would go through the priorities and set a timeline. I mean, it does come at a price tag of $35,175, which for something that was not budgeted, I understand is a pretty decent ask. But I think that the reward of protecting ourselves against fraud, I mean, everyone in this room has seen lots of different types of organizations, including municipal organizations, fall victim to things like that. And we just want to make sure that we are protecting our organization, our staff, the taxpayers of Andover the best we can.
Questions?
Any questions about it?
Matt, as part of this, I know they'll look at the policies and procedures and test those. Will they look at the software and systems you have and test those actual internal controls that are built into the software and systems that we have as well?
Like testing things that are required within the software? I didn't ask that question specifically, but I can make sure that they do.
Okay. Because I know typically if you're going to have them look at that, you want to have them look at your software and systems to make sure they're functioning. Otherwise, if those can be manipulated and overridden, then it kind of overrides all the rest of the policies and procedures that you have. So,
will they also look at waste? So what's being wasted, or maybe we're spending too much money on as far as an assessment, or no?
I don't think that they're going to really evaluate our efficiency, although I think it's likely that we'll become more efficient as a result of it. But that's not their primary goal. Their primary goal is to assess what is our risk of fraud and our internal controls, and are we protecting ourselves the best we can.
Has anyone from staff done one of these or participated in one of these before? I mean, it's not budgeted, nothing flagged it. How did we come up with the idea that we need this assessment?
Absolutely. We've had a lot of change in the finance department. So it's really kind of started with the finance department. Jolene and I sat down shortly after Donna retired, and she said, okay, let's talk about your department and what the needs are. And we agreed pretty quickly that because Andover has grown very quickly in the finance department, had grown quite a bit in the last several years. That kind of produces a lot of organic change in your processes, and we probably needed to evaluate our internal controls. So that's where that was the little seed of this conversation started. And then in talking through that, we agreed that it would really be beneficial. That we did a lot of patchwork. This kind of right off the bat, we added new approval stuff to Tyler. We went into the background of that and required approvers on packets that didn't previously require that, and changed our banking website so that nobody can just push through a transaction in ACH or a wire any longer. Things like that. Everything has to have more than one person. We did some patchwork on our own, but we agreed that it would be really beneficial to have a third party come in and just evaluate, make sure we did a good job.
If I may interrupt here just a bit, I'd like to throw out just a few statistics. A lot of these statistics come from ICMA, which is the International City and County Managers Association. Yearly you have a financial audit.
Right.
That financial audit statistically only catches 4% of fraud activities in an organization. Local government fraud cases average 123% higher in dollar loss than even in state governments. 62% of all fraud was committed by management level employees, with ages ranging from 31 to 50. And in 65% of cases, they were committed by someone with a college degree. The average loss per fraud is 150% greater and continues for twice as long a period when committed by a manager. Typically, 18 to 24 months pass before government identifies and acknowledges that it has experienced fraud. Most of these cases are committed by a long-term trusted employee. Now, like what Matt has said, there is no inkling of this happen here, but it is preached and preached and preached to us as city managers. You see the headlines. This is not just the potential for financial damage. It is also a reputation damage. It's a trust issue to the public. We have an obligation to be good stewards of public funds and to ensure that we are safeguarding. I talk a lot about how this is like a stack of Swiss cheese. If you stack them up perfectly, you can still see the holes through them. When you take those slices and start stacking them in different ways, in other words, adding various internal controls and processes to it, then you are closing the hole for potential fraud and embezzlement. And these are not just actors internally, they're external actors. What will be assessed is also our cybersecurity risk, and we're also going to address changes in that sense. So, these are, I just cannot stress how crucial it is to do a fraud risk assessment. It's the proper tool by which to have it done. So Matt is bravely soldiering on with a task that I have assigned him. So again, if you have questions, I have a lot of resources here.
I have one question, Jolene. Was there anybody on senior staff that said we didn't need it?
No,
Okay, perfect.
they wouldn't dare.
Because if
I-
that one person said it, I'd be like, we probably need it. So,
I would like to say that I think the other piece we're missing here a little bit, and it's important for the public to understand this too, is our timing. So if you think about when Donna retired at the beginning of April, which then handed the reins of finance over to Matt, we were well into budget process at that point, and he was, although doing a great job drinking from the fire hose, if we could go back to the previous item, he was getting his feet under him as a brand new finance director. And so we were well at the point to put in all that CIP work for this current budget. When they presented it to me, I think they'll all nod. I said, oh, they're going to hate this because the finance department is asking for an unbudgeted item in January. Be prepared to take some questions. the trade-off, if we had not brought it to you, is that they would have to wait for 1 year essentially, because they would put it into the 26 budget. You would approve that mid-year and those funds become available January 1. So it felt, they compelled me to say, this is a big enough need. There's money in the admin reserve. That money is essentially unbudgeted funds. Those are not property tax dollars coming in based on this year's taxes or anything of that nature. And so since we have that money there, I agreed with their justification, and that is why it's on the agenda tonight.
Will this catch, I know we had some wastewater people that weren't getting billed correctly. Will that catch any of that? I mean, when we say,
No, it is
No,
not, it is
okay.
not an audit.
Okay.
Of any sort. In fact, they were very specific to point that out to us, that they are not auditors. They are in fraud risk assessment firm. What is the
investigators.
They're certified fraud risk assessors.
That's it. Certified fraud examiners. Yeah. So that they won't be auditing our finding. I mean, he said, in fact, that they're not coming into our organization specifically looking for fraudulent activity. They're coming in to assess whether we have protected ourselves from fraud. He said sometimes they trip over it. They come in to start looking at something and they find it, but even that they're not specifically looking for it.
So kind of what the expectations are from you is they're going to take our policies and procedures, go through, look for holes, see what's best practices, come back to you, say you have holes here. You'll go back and fill those holes. And then assuming we don't have any kind of massive turnover or change systems or policies, procedures anytime in the near future, this will stay good. And we wouldn't need to do this again for a bit.
Kind of. It's deeper than that. They will be doing on-site interviews with every single department.
Okay.
And, helping write those.
So they're doing fraud risk for the entire city, not just City Hall.
Correct.
Okay.
Every department.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So I see it's 12 weeks, so 3 months, roughly quarter. When does it, if we so choose to decide to do that, which I think Andover as a city has great leaders when it comes to staff and studies, audits. I think we've planned for that stuff. So I really like seeing this. Yes, I was caught up a little off guard that it wasn't budgeted, but I'm also glad that there was no inkling of something happened, that this is more preventative. I think Andover does great when we talk about preventative stuff. What month will this take? I mean, will this be a March thing?
The timeline that we are hoping for, if we approve it, is that we can complete this by the end of April. And he did say 12 weeks he could probably push it and get it done in 8, but 12 weeks is kind of the generic timeline for this.
And 14, 16 weeks. I mean, a little longer.
I hope not, because we're scheduled to start the 2024 annual audit the last week of April. So I'm really hoping, if you guys so choose to proceed, that we would be able to complete it by then and not be doing both at once.
And then Jenny, we have saving, or Matt, whoever, we have savings for this. We're not taking, was it Rob and Peter to pay Paul kind of thing? There's nothing going on there like that. We're not taking away from radios or hoses or anything like that.
No, we're not. We have an administrative reserve fund, and a small amount, I think it's $15,000, has for the last several years, at least the last several budgets, the ones that I've seen, annually are put in there. It's kind of like rainy day funds or a savings account. And for things that come up that you didn't think of when you were planning the budget for the year.
And then as far as results, will we see results in the way of policy procedures, or will there be a workshop on the findings? As far as, I realize from the title of it, maybe we don't want to announce it in a public meeting, but will there be results, if you will?
Yes, I mean, obviously there'll be a report, as you can see in the RFP response that was provided. It's quite extensive.
Yeah.
And on top of that, part of the process is that they will provide written procedures for us and written policy. So if it is to the matter of policy that needs to be accepted by the governing body, that for sure would come to you. To the extent that it may compromise our ability to keep our systems secure, we would have to gauge on a one-by-one basis.
All right. Thanks, Julie.
Quite frankly, I find it a little bit unnerving that we haven't already done this because everybody's susceptible. People are people. And I just think it's the right time, probably past time, but that's just my opinion. Any more questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move to approve the agreement with 65th North Group for a fraud risk assessment with the cost of $35,175 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second, O'Kades.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, membered items, and let's start with Tim.
I do not have anything this late evening. I'm tired.
Only thing I got is the lodge groundbreaking, 2:00 on Thursday in Central Park. That's all I got.
Big things coming in 2025, guys, and excited where we're at and excited for the city of Andover. Thank you.
Shout out to the street department for all the hard work they've done, man. It's truly amazing, and they put a lot of hours in, and just not because they want the money, it's because they want to take care of us. So I appreciate the work they do, and even when it just hits them twice in a week, and so they did a fantastic job, and they always do.
That was what I was going to say. So thank you to the street department. Also, thank you to the first responders. Obviously, the conditions the last couple of weeks have not been ideal, and that you guys are still there taking care of everybody and making sure that you're keeping our community safe. Thank you.
Just want to give a shout out to the fire department and EMS. On Christmas morning, my son had a medical emergency at the house. And it was amazing that they were out there very, very quickly, extremely professional. And we enjoyed a little Christmas morning in front of the fire with the fire department and the EMS. But appreciate you guys and everything you do, as well as all the first responders. And then also just wanted to give congratulations to Jenny on her nomination and acceptance of the vice president of the Kansas Women Leading Government chapter. Did I say that right? Congratulations.
Staff have anything? Nope.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to adjourn.
Second, O'Kades.
All in favor?